Gentlemen, welcome back. We are just over 1 year into the second term of President Donald Trump, and we'll go over some of the original predictions from Emotional Intelligence for Politics and Media, as well as the 2020 version of Triangle Games. Each book examines narcissism in general, Donald Trump specifically, as well as the interactions of each of you. So, speaking of you, let's get some introductions. We have with us Make America Great Again, the folks from Liberal, and our folks from mainstream Republicans. In this discussion, we'll go over the recent turbulence in Minnesota, linked to immigration customs enforcements, as well as the National Guard posted in many of our cities across our country, and we'll link those topics to discussions on Venezuela and Greenland. Let's go.
Let me tell you something, man. This ain't nothing but the same whining and crying I've been hearing from liberals and Democrats the whole time. They about as ineffective at handling the crime and immigration in their own cities as a loud rooster in an empty cemetery is at waking people up. So, I'm tired of hearing the whining. Trump is actually doing something about the crime and immigration, and they can't stand it because they can't do it, and he can do it. They can't stand it. And that's all I got to say.
Well, let me
about
piggyback off that just a little bit. When crime or immigration gets labeled as not that bad, it's a defeatist mindset that things somehow couldn't be improved.
Take a step back.
Liberals absolutely need to take a step back and reevaluate their stance. I personally have friends in the D.C. area who went to pharmacy school with who said crime there is bad and horrible, and the National Guard was absolutely necessary. It's frightening how dramatic liberals are.
I'm being dramatic.
If I'm being honest.
I'm being dramatic. People are dead in Minnesota.
And before you get started on one of your rants, Mr. Liberal, I just wanted to remind you of a couple of videos I specifically sent to you. One for WUSA Channel 9 and another one on YouTube about how people there are sick of the crime in D.C. And really, if you pick any city run by liberal mayors, D.C., Baltimore, Memphis, the crime there is overwhelming and people are sick of it.
Hey, stop whining, man. Stop whining.
Okay, man. I saw your videos that you sent to me about black people in D.C. being happy that Trump sent the National Guard here. I'm sure if you went back to the 1700s, you could have videos on YouTube that black people were actually happy to be enslaved because you that dude. You know what? Did anybody here actually read the book or do the homework? Enablers of narcissists always see their behavior as singular, as each particular incident is being singular. I'm going to use emotional intelligence in our next little segment here to be able to break down how this is not Democrats versus Republicans. I'm still going to talk fast, though, so be ready. Thank you for sharing that about Democrats and crime in cities. The fact is, 50 years worth of data shows that Democrat cities and Republican states have about the same levels of crime in them, meaning politicians don't affect crime. So spare me the detail that Trump cares about me and whether or not I thrive and survive as a liberal in a liberal city. Let's get on to ICE and immigration. It was invented in 2003. It's not like Trump invented ICE, but he's not on any more of a pace, more or less, than Biden, Obama, or even George Bush to deport more or less. But he gets way more attention for it because he has masked federal agents on the street. Are you guys naive enough to not realize that Trump uses masked federal agents to grab whoever the hell he wants to off the street? Maybe you're that naive about it. Maybe you aren't that naive about it. But according to the book, narcissists, according to page 29, wherever they play the long game, wherever they want you to look, it's done on purpose. TV headlines, podcasts, microphones, and emotions are focused in on that. I'm not that naive. Speaking of naive, do you guys really think that somebody takes a virtual dump on people at the No Kings protest march, or that somebody who says they love the smell of deportations in the morning and then pardons criminals like Ross Ulbricht, Changpeng Zhao, George Santos, and former Honduran President Juan Orlando Hernandez? We'll get back to him in a moment. Do you think the guy who pardons those type of criminals really cares about crime and wants me to have a better life? He fits all the traits of a narcissist, including putting people in a bind. Current mayor, D.C. Muriel Bowser was up against her city councilman, Robert White, Zachary Parker, when they were pushing like, hey man, you need to push back against Trump. And Trump was coming back like, hey, you need to do what I say, otherwise I'll take home rule. So she's put in a bind. That is straight narcissistic behavior. In terms of Tim Walz, his direct political opponent, of course he wants to put him in a bind and have Tim Walz have to come crawling back on his knees, but like, please, can you finally take this ice out of my city?
You know, guys, it's not really even all about
It's
crime
more
or
where it is.
immigration. He says
Whining.
He says
What does he
crazy
say?
st-
What does he say?
I mean, dude, you think a guy who says drug prices have come down 12 or 1,500%, he knows even basic math? Did your pharmacy friends catch that? You know, no.
Yeah.
But wait,
He's-
you guys just
he's not who
keep
you say he
whining
is.
all the time. The Nobel Peace Prize. Well, you didn't give it to me, so blah, blah, blah.
That's
They
irrelevant.
didn't give it to him. They did. Well, he torpedoed the Kennedy Center.
what?
He's completely. It didn't rename it. He torpedoed it. So
you're just-
you think this person cares about the
just
little guy?
wrong.
Look, you guys don't understand. You guys don't
wrong.
understand. I want you to be right. Right? I know that you guys don't like to hear bad things about a person you like and support. So you think the person who's saying these bad things about it is actually criticizing your ability to be able to judge people. It would be great if Trump was here for the little guy and he was here to solve problems like crime and immigration, and this was all a misunderstanding on my part because he's different. But MAGA, you continue to dismiss me because you think I'm whining. MSR, you continue to think this is more of the decades-long red versus blue, Democrats versus political disputes on policy. And it's one thing to be able to disagree with him, man, but it's mind-boggling for me that you guys can't see who he is. Not just from all the mountains of information out there like this book, but just from listening to his words and reading what he says. You guys can't see it. And then that makes me crazy, which I know is my issue, damn it. So look, next, we'll go over a few things in this book that were a little bit wrong. We're here to talk about predictions. They were a little bit things that were a little bit off. We'll talk about it next, and I'll try to
do
stay
that.
calm.
You do that.
All right, guys, so I'm calming down. So let's talk about Chapter 10, specifically the Trump versus Hitler section, the bibliography in particular. Is Trump Hitler? No, but he's still running plays out the authoritarian playbook. Absolutely. He still gets to impose his version of martial law via ICE and the National Guard. He's still going after academic institutions hard. Cultural icons like museums, like the Kennedy Center, hard. Putting his people in place in the FBI and all levels of government to do whatever he wants so that he's not being investigated. Mostly he gets chaos and distrust. Did you guys read the section here, the foreword by Dr. Jason Henderson, talk about how a narcissist almost ruined his business, not just in terms of the sexual harassment lawsuits, which are constantly coming out because narcissists like to break barriers, but from embezzlement. And I think that's where we need to put our attention on it. Venezuela, Greenland, and the killing of Renee Good and Alex Preddy all caused chaos. It all caused us to grab our podcast microphones, get online, talk about it amongst each other and to other people, argue amongst each other. And I think narcissists love the chaos, loving the subterfuge.
Thank you for that setup, Mr. Liberal. In my 20 years of dealing directly with a covert narcissist, and in narcissistic research and 2 books being produced from that research, I've come to understand narcissists need their enablers and their targets to argue amongst themselves if their nefarious activities are to remain clean and unseen from those around them. MAGA, for you, this means that playing your part, you need to be able to believe that Trump is doing everything in his power to be able to handle and solve crime and immigration emergencies, and that those emergencies are real. For liberals, you need to be able to protest with anger and emotion, not just ICE, not just the National Guard, but Trump's overall overreach of his government. Doing that with emotion draws the attention of mainstream Republicans, and playing their part, they'll see your overreach as protecting the thugs, child molesters, gang members, and rapists that Trump is claiming to protect them from. Everyone playing their part, everyone complaining, everyone arguing, and as long as everyone is in the kitchen arguing, narcissists walk right out of the front door with exactly what they want. Gentlemen, let's go over our assignments for next session. We'll discuss Trump mega donor Peter Thiel, proponent of Prospera. Prospera is a fully privatized economic zone off the coast of, you guessed it, Honduras, where yes, Juan Orlando Hernandez had also championed the idea of Prospera. We'll go over Praxis and Dryden Brown, their connection to Greenland, and then we'll go over Peter Thiel, how he's the co-founder of PayPal and Founders Fund. The other co-founder, Ken Howry. What country runs Greenland? Denmark. Whom did Trump just appoint ambassador to Denmark on October 7, 2025? Ken Howry. Tie this all into the fact that Trump has made between $867 million and $1.4 billion over the course of this last 12 months. That's according to Forbes, Yahoo Finance, Time Magazine, and the New York Times. And since no one is protesting that in the streets, I guess we're all okay with that. Are we not, gentlemen? I don't see anybody arguing about that. Or are we all focused on arguing about the legality and morality of the National Guard and masked immigrants and agents in our street? Either way, what better place to be able to celebrate all the money with the Billionaire Boys Club that you've assembled than with a new White House West Wing, which is currently under construction. Now, please understand, presidents have made more money while being in office, but not the type of money that we're talking about. And the privatization of government is also new to the White House.
Right.
It's up for discussion next week, gentlemen. Narcissists don't care which side of the triangle you're arguing with, as long as you're arguing. My name is Dr. J. Houston, author of 2 books on narcissism and emotional intelligence. We will see you next time.
Next time, bro.